back from the disaster that was their camping trip, Iris was behind the wheel, while Wizzy slouched in the passenger seat, hood up, muttering something about never trusting nature again. Toxic, sprawled in the back seat, scrolled through his playlist, debating which corn track to annoy them with next. The peace was shattered when a weird, rhythmic humming sound filled the air. Iris slowed the car, frowning. "What the hell is that?" she asked, craning her neck to look out the window. Before anyone could answer, a man popped out of the bushes, waving his arms like a lunatic. He was tall, shirtless, and wore tattered jeans held up by a piece of rope. "Howdy," the man yelled, his thick Alabama accent unmistakable. "Name's CJ and I reckon I ought to join y'all." Iris slammed on the brakes, and the car skidded to a halt. "What the fuck?" Wizzy muttered, staring at the man. Toxic leaned forward, peering out the window. "Okay, points for enthusiasm, but why?" CJ planted his hands on his hips. "Well, y'all look like a hoot, and I ain't got nothing better to do." Iris rubbed her temples. "Are you serious right now? You just jump in front of cars and declare yourself part of the group?" CJ grinned. "Sure do, ma'am." Against all better judgment, and mostly because they were too tired to argue, Iris motioned for CJ to hop in the back. "Fine, but if you try anything, I'm dumping you in the next swamp." CJ climbed in, chatting non-stop about hunting gators and wrestling possums as Iris drove on, glaring at Toxic and Wizzy for not backing her up. Just when she thought the trip couldn't get any weirder, the car came to an abrupt halt again. This time, it wasn't CJ. It was 6 people standing in the middle of the road, wrapped in red cloaks and chanting around a massive satanic star etched into the asphalt. "What the actual hell?" Wizzy said, sitting upright. CJ, never one to wait for an explanation, jumped out of the car, yelling, "Hey, what are you doing with this devil mumbo-jumbo?" Iris yelled after him, "CJ, don't!" But it was too late. The chanting stopped, and the air grew heavy as the star began to glow. A deep, guttural voice boomed, "Who dares interrupt my summoning?" Satan himself emerged from the center of the star, towering and pissed. CJ, undeterred, pointed a finger at him. "Listen here, Satan. Y'all are blocking traffic, and I got places to be." Satan tilted his head, then roared with laughter. "You dare speak to me like that, mortal?" He picked CJ up by the scruff of his neck like a misbehaving kitten and began slapping him around. "You're insane," Wizzy shouted from the car, watching in disbelief. Toxic cackled, pulling out his phone to record. World star moment. Meanwhile, Iris got out and approached one of the hooded figures. Speaking in a guttural, ancient language that sounded like gravel grinding against metal, she started a conversation. The hooded figure gestured wildly, seemingly shocked that she could speak their tongue. After a few minutes of intense back and forth, Iris returned to the car, brushing her hands off. "All right, we're good to go," she said nonchalantly. "What about CJ?" Wizzy asked, pointing at the scene of Satan using CJ as a punching bag. "Oh, he'll be fine," Iris replied, already starting the car. "The guy's built like a cockroach. He'll survive anything." True to her word, CJ came limping back to the car, a grin on his battered face. "Welp, reckon I ain't tussling with Satan again anytime soon," he said, climbing into the back seat. Toxic grinned. "Glad you learned something." As they drove off, Wizzy shook his head. "This is the weirdest road trip ever." CJ laughed, wincing as he held his ribs. "Nah, this is just a Tuesday for me." Iris sighed, gripping the wheel. "If this is our Tuesday, I don't want to see what Friday looks like."